folks at e-commerce 360. Today we have Mike Belasco, President and CEO of Inflow. Inflow is an award-winning digital e-commerce marketing agency in Denver. They build successful SEO, PPC, and CRO strategies for e-commerce all around the world. Thanks, Mike, for coming on our show. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
So, Mike, before we jump right into the topic about Bfcm feverish sales, let's talk a bit about yourself and your agency.
Yeah, sure. As you mentioned, we specialize in e-commerce, and we are experts in SEO, paid search and social, and conversion optimization. We are based in Denver, Colorado. However, our staff is remote across Colorado and the United States.
That's amazing. And prior to starting an agency, what kind of experience did you have?
Well, I've been doing this for 14 years now.
Wow,
And so,
amazing.
yeah, it's been a little while. Prior to that, though, I was a web developer. I developed web applications for biologists and for telecommunications and that sort of a thing, and was really missing sort of adding in a little bit more of the business side to, which I had gotten a degree in business information systems. And so I wanted to kind of pull those things together and take what I was good at with technology and combine it with some of my roots in business. I've been running a business since I was probably about 12 years old of some sort. And both my parents were entrepreneurs, and so it was only natural for me to to go in and do something like this on my own.
That's great. That's really smart. So let's kick it off by talking about last year's Bfcm, which was like a massive $9 billion spent on just Black Friday, which was a 22% year-on-year increase. So what do you think is going to happen this Bfcm? How is it going to be different from 2020?
I think, the differences that we're already starting to see, because, as you and I chatted before, really we're already into the Bfcm season here. And so some of the things that we're seeing is different or less promotions. And some of this has to do with out of stock products, right? Like inventory, logistics, shipping. Things are still gone, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later and how you can kind of counter that. But that's something that people are really struggling again, or potentially even more with out of stock products. There's also a lot more competition that we're seeing from bricks and clicks. In other words, curbside pickup and that sort of thing. People really do like that, and I think that they've really adjusted to that as part of their lives. And that does, take away a little bit of an edge from some of our e-commerce only clients that compete in similar spaces. And the other thing is, this is just less predictable than it has been in the past. Like even in 2020, we knew almost everything was going to be online because of where, things were in the pandemic. But, this year, you've got people trying to get back to their lives, even if it means, wearing a mask or whatever they need to do in their area, or whatever, their personal preferences are. And so it's a little strange to try and plan for something, unpredictable. And then the last thing I'd add there, in terms of clients, we have clients that are giving us more updates, about things that are in stock and not in stock, and telling us to be ready to launch campaigns on a product that they think they might get in. That's just very different than, how we've normally had to work. Usually, their clients are very smart and organized, and they're planning ahead, and the supply chain's good. So it's been a bit of an adjustment, but it should be exciting to see the results.
It's interesting that you spoke about unpredictability, because I'm going to ask you 3 surefire strategies that a brand can invest to maximize the leads. It could be SEO, it could be Facebook ad spends, anything. So what are the according to you, what are the three surefire strategies?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the good news is, yeah, we still have, I think, some surefire strategies to recommend,
Awesome.
despite the lack of predictability. So
Mhm.
the first one, again, which is sort of the theme of this year, is out of stock product planning.
Mhm.
There are a number of things that you can do to counteract your potentially negative situation there, or to continue at least building your audience so that you can advertise to them later when things are back in
Mhm.
stock. So some of the things that we recommend, can at least considering, are enabling pre-orders. That's a big one. It allows you also to collect some
Yeah.
revenue potentially upfront. Certainly enabling email notifications for back in stock products. That
Mhm.
also gives you that chance to build an audience that you can use later, on social media. Really taking the time to take a look at your recommended product or related product widgets, and upgrading those if need be. Upgrading your internal linking for related or products, especially for one that might not be in stock. Those are It's a good opportunity for that. Um, on the paid ad side, again, within still this theme of out of stock product planning, is identifying another product category to use the out of stock product category's budget. You don't want to just leave budget on the table if you have it, and you can
Mhm.
still spend it somewhere else. And of course, lastly, in that category, emphasizing the scarcity and the urgency of
Mm.
getting the orders in, and the scarcity of the product itself. So those are some things around out of stock products. Another two surefire strategies are building permanent Bfcm landing page URLs. These are things that can build up SEO equity over the years by
Mhm.
getting links to them. They are going to be targeting keywords that people are actively searching for, Black Friday product sale. Um, so
Yep.
you want to be in the game when it comes to that. And then
Mhm.
lastly, we're recommending starting early, right? And so if you're not already running your ads and running your holiday specials and promotions now, you really need to get it together and get things going, because there's people that are starting holiday shopping as soon as really in the
Yeah.
next week or two.
Absolutely. So all of them very interesting, very very insightful strategies. Let's talk about the 2021 apocalypse, right? The iOS update and how it's going to affect the Facebook ads, because we know that probably 60% of the BFCM sales revenue is going to come from Facebook ads. Still, even though there have been a lot of changes in the Facebook security and third party data, etc., etc. Still, 60% of revenue comes from Facebook. So, what do you suggest are the steps to drive more sales?
Yeah. So, in terms of getting more from the ad spend, certainly, the Facebook stuff does make it tough, both in terms of the targeting as well as the reporting.
Mm-hmm.
And, transparently, we're still working with our clients to try and figure out how exactly to look at it, right? And what changes have come about within the targeting on Facebook. So, um, you know, besides Facebook, I think that there are some other ways to drive more sales from the ad spend. And
Mm-hmm.
that is in search to look for holiday specific keyword opportunities, things that you don't, normally bid on, like, Christmas dog toys or, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then also don't forget about Pinterest. People, do still really use that site quite a bit, and especially
Yeah.
for, trying to find gift ideas and everything else. So
Mm-hmm.
Pinterest ads is potentially another good strategy, and one that may not be, as subject to some of the wide swings that we're seeing, with Facebook, both again targeting and reporting.
Okay, that's interesting. So we also know that 60% of the BFCM shoppers never return because they are in your store for the discounts, for the deals, and probably, just that it's the sale season and they want to get a good deal. That's about it. So how do brands retain these seasonal shoppers? And because they're spending so much on actually acquiring these customers, getting their attention, now that they've got it, how do they keep it?
Yeah, I think, there's a few different strategies that you can use. One is really more of a content and branding strategy, and that is to, really come across as the expert, right? And continue sharing expertise, on these products and being sort of the go-to resource for this category. A lot of it centers around email, one way or the other, because it's obviously still a very important channel in e-commerce. It's now got the extra importance of being one thing that you can do to get a little bit around the changes in Facebook, and so this is really your opportunity to collect that first party data, and then to be able to utilize that later through your targeting and everything else. So one way or the other, it all centers on email. So that's the most important thing that you can do, is make sure you're collecting that email address, that you've got permission to target it, and that really you've got strategies and plans in place to then take the emails that you will hopefully collect here and put them to use starting next year.
That's great. I hope they do that, because most of them, I don't think they collect, or rather, even if they collect, they don't nurture them enough. So, Mike, I think we are toward the end of it. So, as a wrap up, what would be your parting advice for e-commerce brands to have a super successful BFCM 2021?
So I think the main thing is to develop your strategy and do it now, and make sure it's documented. Make sure you stick to it, because you're going to see, so many bright, shiny objects out there, lots of different advice. Some of it's probably good. Some of it maybe not so good. So the most important thing is to make sure you have that document and you have that strategy in place now, and that you're ready to go, because for a lot of businesses, a lot of our clients, this is when they make somewhere between 60 and 80% of their annual revenue. So it's not something that you can approach haphazardly or without a good strategy. You still want to remain agile, but really make sure that you've got that plan in place.
Amazing. It's just not your customers. I think most brands get maximum 60 to 80% of sales during this time of the year. And it's, as you rightly pointed out, they have to start early on. They have to strategize and test to get on with their BFM sales, so that they have massive success this year. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming on our show and giving us some very deep insights into how brands can handle BFCM sales. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Rev. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing it online soon.